welcome back to Switch to Linux. It's Wednesday. It's time for another Wednesday live show. So welcome everybody. Let's jump on over to the comments. Oh, you know what I never did? I never reset my comment thread. That's kind of funny. I should probably do that, shouldn't I? Make sure comments look good. Almost. I think that's good. Well, we're going to hit two topics today. We're going to have a look at Linux Mint Mate, and we're also going to have a look at Microsoft and GitHub comments. I'm a little late to the discussion field on that, but I'm going to tell you why that happens to be. What we're going to do is kind of hit those two topics there and call it an evening. Gage K, am I joking? No, I'm not joking. Linux Mint Mate has nothing to do with Microsoft or GitLab or GitHub, whatever. Netscape Explorer. Netscape is better than Explorer. Yeah, scary. I've never been able to stand IE or Edge. Yeah, it's Edge particularly. Like, Microsoft many times has no idea what they're doing. I mean, by the mere fact of how many people are just stuck to Windows because they think it's only Windows or Mac, they force people into stupid things like Edge. Like, there's one bar at the top and it's not obvious how to enter a direct URL, as if everybody in the world just blindly goes and goes, Mr. Search Engine, find me what I want. Is there no going to websites anymore outside of a search engine? I don't know. That's kind of a funny question. But yeah, depends on your location when it starts. Well, it depends on the time zone. It's 7 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesdays. I'm going to be doing another one tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and 9 o'clock on my other channel. So I'll be live streaming twice tomorrow. Micro Bleeps is a whale that swallows everything. There are some reports claiming they want to purchase Canonical. Yes, there are indeed some reports, and Canonical is interested in selling, and that right there will raise a lot of interesting questions. Pizza. If they purchase Canonical, I will be done with Ubuntu. I will probably agree with you completely. I think a lot of people will be done with Ubuntu if Microsoft buys Canonical. But the reality is the world of conglomeration. Of course, Ubuntu did away with Unity to focus on their server and IoT, two areas that Microsoft is kind of ditching Windows to focus on server and IoT. It would make a lot of sense, and it would not surprise me in the slightst if there are backdoors making comments. But yeah, that would strike a critical blow to the Ubuntu and Linux community as a whole if that were to happen, because I just don't even think about it right now. Libre Secure, greetings. I'll sacrifice Canonical to MS if it gets us more gaming and application developed for Linux. I already personally avoid Ubuntu, so that not much would change. Yeah, and you know, a lot of the downstreamer guys like Mint, they take a lot of stuff out of Ubuntu. They do make a lot of changes to the code. That's important. Paper Bag Man, greetings. Welcome to the stream. Let's see. Last time I chatted with you were running Debian, correct? All right. I'm on Pure OS and Triskel between 18 physical systems. Wow. Yeah, you got more computers than I do. If you could run Windows programs on Ubuntu, it would be my new distro. Run Windows? Yeah, if you could run Windows programs on Ubuntu. Yeah. Wine doesn't cover what you want to use? Yeah, not really. Wine doesn't cover a lot of anything written in the last decade, I would say. Couldn't get Pure OS to run on my hardware, only on a virtual machine. The only current distro I'm running is the good old infamous Windows 10 distro. Ooh, I'm sorry. I have to, unfortunately, but I have GNU Linux on a laptop. There you go. Yeah, there's times that you need to run Windows, for sure. I'm actually finding something funny, because I still do web design stuff on Windows 7, and I had a client in doing a Shopify site, and she's like, you know, we need to get the store locator fixed. So I go and log in. I'm like, I can't even access the control panel for that app. And no matter what, it was just causing me all sorts of problems. So I'm like, you know what? I don't always update to the latest and greatest everything. Let me jump over to a Linux distro And wouldn't you know it, I could get right into there. So that caused me to actually update Firefox to the absolute latest version of Firefox. Still can't get on. So I don't know what it is, but there's something about Windows 7 and Shopify that I cannot get onto some of the features of Shopify. No idea. Clueless. So I just been developing on Linux instead because, you know, I have a computer for Linux specifically for web design. It's just not docked into my usual development chair. So kind of exciting. About time to make that full switch, isn't it? Oh, well. But yeah, if you want a Shopify site, think again. Shopify sucks. Actually, what happened, tried booting Pure OS, Debian, I had problems with that, and it was installed on my engineering lab computers. It was awesome, but I always ran into little problems here and there on the hardware. Free version never worked correctly, but the non-free always did. Yeah, I turn on the non-free and my Debians run flawlessly. That at least me, Pure OS and Debian seem fairly similar. We're good. Greetings, Sad Error. How's it going, sir? Sad Error, is that link that I have to your... Somebody said the link didn't work right. Did you confirm or not confirm that link was right? I pasted exactly as you as I thought I checked it, but I don't know. Isaiah Briggs, hello there. Daniel, greetings. All right. Oh, and you're on GitLab, not on GitHub. Deleted the GitHub page. Yeah, I deleted my LinkedIn page as soon as I saw Microsoft was looking at buying. No. Am I creating GitLab? Nope. I don't have a need for either one of them. Git STL. Yeah, there's actually some open source applications you can use that have most of the functions. Not all of them, but most of them. Francisco Santos, greetings. How are you? Cool. It's cool you can also host your own GitLab server and not have to use the public ones. Huh, I'll have to look at that. Got new 1 terabyte SSD, put Minty Terra in, so she has plenty of space to work. I stopped using SSDs with Mint. I'm not sure if it was a Mint issue or a bad SSD issue, but the thing died after only 6 months. Yes, we're live, right? Meow. Oh, boy, I lost my place. YouTube really needs to fix the comment feed. Bonjour, Neo29. How are you? My school requires me to use Office... Office 265. That's like 365, but it sucks more. We should place GitLab with Bitbucket before he begins spying. Greetings, Noby Roger. All right, let's see. 2 MS products I like. Visual Studio and Windows Phone. All right. News article here in UK and BBC News. Technology Microsoft Syncs Data Center off Orange. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read it, but... I'm live, but I missed the beginning due to adverts. Oh, bummer. Alright, Ubuntu is pretty awful nowadays. It needs some improvements. It needs to go back to Unity is what it needs to do. Like Edge, because I can get used to get blocked websites at school. Oh, okay. Well, they don't have Edge fixed for that? That's funny. I use Edge. Yeah, you know, my Internet Explorer, the #1 browser to download a better browser. Tyler Torvin, greetings. I bought myself an Origin PC Evo 15S laptop May 20th, going to be shipped tomorrow. Awesome. That's pretty cool, man. Congrats on the new computer. Canonical is sold, Ubuntu is dead. Microshaft, embrace, expand, extinguish. We're going to be talking about that. I followed one guy's totally not creepy at all, and they... used to say on Twitter they hated Microsoft. Later, after the news flash, they were fanboying them. So that's best Linux distribution. I mean, it really depends on what you have. I personally like Linux Mint Cinnamon the absolute best. We're going to look at Linux Mint Mate today, better for lower spec machines. I'm running Debian on my other computer here, so it really depends on what you want to do. Microsoft bought Red Hat, Mozilla, Google, Apple. You know. then I would officially call the CEO of Microsoft, I don't know, Dr. Doom, I guess. I don't know. What if Microsoft bought pizza for Pizza Lovin' Nerd? Ooh, there you go. Hello, Skybear. How's it going there? Apple better buy Ubuntu. Richard Stallman hates Debian because it gives you the option of using non-free. Well, that's okay. You know what? Sometimes you need non-free if you want stuff to work right, because I'd rather have a system that I can get work on. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to Windows where stuff works. There's a thought. Greetings, Ishmael. How's it going there? I love Linux Mint. Set my mom's computer up with Linux Mint. She's navigating it, no problems. Even set up Facebook. Ugh, Facebook. To connect my family-friendly video chat. Very good, very good. GitLab is so much better than GitHub. Haven't received notifications in a long time. Oh, that's not cool. Pretty soon I'm going to have my my dedicated page up so you can just bookmark that in your web browser and you'll be able to see anything I'm doing. Except for Puppy, it's pretty fast. Ruff, ruff. My school gives us Microsoft Office for free, but I'd rather use LibreOffice. Yeah, me too. I agree. A $700 computer chair delivered to my house. Need to assemble it tonight. So enjoyed Kitty Cam comfortably. Very cool, Retrainer. Is it ready? Rainer? I don't know. Greetings. Hey, I think I hit the bottom of the comments. All right, use Arch. Everything works. Very good. Awesome. Like the implement Ubuntu implemented GNOME desktop on 1804. I find it less annoying than vanilla GNOME for sure, but all right, we're going to go ahead and leave that there. We're going to re-roll our intro and get on into our topic for the day. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we're going to jump back to the comments after this. I better hit the record button now. That will work, won't it? Welcome back to Switch to Linux. It's another Wednesday live show. So on this segment, we're going to be talking about Microsoft buying GitHub and talk about a little comments. There's a few articles that I read about this. There's, of course, a lot of comments going on it. Some people are saying this is a great thing. Some people are saying the end of free software as we know it. And so I just want to go ahead and give my comments on this. Now, unlike, I think, a lot of comments, my comments are going to be fairly neutral. I'm a web developer. I'm a front-end guy. There's a few things I probably could put on a service like GitHub, but I don't. I don't bother. I don't care, mostly because I don't use a lot of other people's online services. Very few. There's some, obviously, YouTube. I use that. There's a few other small ones, but for the most part, I just don't use services like that. I have backups in my NAS folders, which are available to me wherever I'm at, which contains source codes and things that I need for the stuff that I do. But that's really the way I like to work things. And so I'm kind of going to give my comments from kind of somebody watching on the sidelines. I'm aware of the issue, but I'm looking at the sidelines. So let's go ahead and jump into kind of the meat of this over here. So, of course, this is Microsoft's blog post about it. Microsoft plus GitHub equals empowering developers. I think a lot of people have memed this. Microsoft plus GitHub equals, you know, the end of free software as we know it. I don't know. But anyway, they've purchased GitHub. They're still finalizing things, but they've put in the official bid. The bid's been, you know, accepted. There's just a few of those little businessy things going on in the background, but they were purchased for was it 7.5 billion, I think, or was it 7.5 million? 7.5 something. So they purchased GitHub, which, if you're unaware of GitHub, it is the place where you software developers will put the code up. You can lock it behind a wall privately for payment, or you can just use it as a free and open source platform so people can view it, commit it, download it, use it, distribute it, whatever else. So in that respect, it's a good platform for the distribution of content. And so, of course, Microsoft purchases this, and they say that we're going to see three clear opportunities. Microsoft says, first, we will empower developers at every stage of the development cycle, from ideation to collaboration to deployment to the cloud. Going forward, GitHub will remain an open platform which any developer can plug into and extend. Developers will continue to be able to use the programming languages, tools, operating systems of their choice for their products. And this will still be able to deploy their own code on any cloud or any device. Okay. Second, we will accelerate enterprise developers' use of GitHub with our direct sales and partner channels. Oh, that's all I need is people like, hey, come get a GitHub account. No, Microsoft, put me on a do not contact list now. Thank you. With our direct sales and partner channels and access to Microsoft Global Cloud Infrastructure Services. And finally, we will bring Microsoft's developer tools and services to new audiences. Most importantly, we recognize the responsibility we take on with this agreement. We are committed to being stewards of the GitHub community, which retain its developer-first ethos, operate independently, and remain an open platform. We will always listen to developer feedback and invest in both fundamentals and new capacities. So that's what they say, trying to quell some of the concern that they're going to kind of destroy it down the road, and that's not too much of a concern, because if you remember the term embrace, extend, extinguish. This is actually something that showed up in their Microsoft's internal documents discovered by the United States Department of Justice while they were looking into alleged antitrust and other monopoly type things. So what this is that you embrace some subject or some service, some skill, something, and then you extend it by adding extra to it, and then you extinguish it by adding your own proprietary stuff, basically locking it out. This is what Microsoft really has done in the, I'll use the best example of your Office suite. There were, of course, other Office suites that came to the table, but Microsoft got involved in a lot of those and really extended it. And I hear to this day people say, well, LibreOffice just doesn't work as well. Incorrect, sir. It is Microsoft Office that is the broken one. Have you ever heard the adage, if 1 million people say a stupid thing, it's still a stupid thing? Well, if 1 million people are using broken software, it's still a broken software. The thing is that Microsoft intentionally screws up open document formats that it should not. In fact, it doesn't really screw them up as much as it just displays scary warnings that's scaring most users away from that kind of stuff. And so that's one of those things that we have to keep in mind as we're considering this. So these are just concerns. Of course, Microsoft buys up a lot of things. They buy up Nokia, and it's dead now. They've bought up LinkedIn. It's questionable if that was really, if that's been killed or whatever. It hasn't been moving anywhere. They bought up Skype. That's become a useless, worthless hunk of unicorn poo. And that's kind of what Microsoft does. Now, you can say that this embrace, extend, extinguish was certainly, I mean, this is a couple decades ago. This is something that may not be the case. And of course, we're seeing all these Microsoft heart-free software or open software, you know, signs all around, mostly pushed by Microsoft. But the real reason, the real thing is that Microsoft sees the Linux community, it sees the open source community as serious competition. Particularly because they're moving, and most people are moving towards models where they want people to pay regular licensing. So instead of buying Microsoft Office once in 2007 like I did, and there haven't been improvements to Microsoft Office enough for me to look at it and go, I would really like to buy a new version of Office now. There aren't improvements. So they kind of want us to pay that subscription fee for that Office 365 because it is a perpetual subscription fee. Adobe, Autodesk completely went with those models, and I do not think Microsoft's going to be too far behind. I think that once they get a certain threshold over that, they're going to cancel the old model, and now you will only be able to get the Office as a subscription service. That is my personal belief that we're going to see down the road. So it's not an unfounded complaint about this, because this is actually part of Microsoft's past ethos. And of course, people say, well, they're different now. They've changed. And look, they just bought something new and it's not completely dead yet. Well, that reminds me of this video. Remember this video? Ajit Pai releases this shortly after the vote to say, oh, you can still do all these things. Yes, you incompetent moron. That's because your rules are not in effect yet. This idiot should be kicked off the... I don't know what to do with this moron. But to sit here and say, oh, they're buying stuff up. Guys, it takes a long period of time. Microsoft plans 5 years out, but we as a society are planned to think 1 day, 1 week, or at most 1 month out. We are not trained or encouraged to think in the big picture. Very few people think in the big picture. And that's what Ajit Pai was feeding on. Ooh, the rules have passed. The internet's going to collapse today. And he comes on the very next day. Oh, you can still do all of these things. Yes, you moron, because your rules have not gone into effect yet. Now, they are into effect now. Again, we're not going to see changes immediately on this. It's coming, though. And that is where people's concern is with Microsoft, is that they are potentially going to do something. Now, I think if they're really going to keep these the case, what they're going to see happen at the very least is GitHub accounts will be merged in with the Microsoft account thing. So, of course, you can sync up everything else you do with your GitHub account. And even for me, I never, ever, ever recommend you use one email address for everything. But that's exactly what the companies wanted you to do. They want you to have one email address for your Microsoft account and then use the same email address for everything across the field, and it locks you into their services. That's a bad thing, okay? So, of course, what really made me want to do the video on this is a couple days ago I read this Ars Technica article. Everyone complaining about Microsoft buying GitHub needs to offer a better solution. And this, to me, like, there's times these articles come out in some of these platforms, and this is one of them, that are so pro Microsoft that it makes me just want to take these guys and slap them silly. It so demonstrates the bias, because you know what? Everyone complaining about Microsoft buying GitHub are raising very good points and giving very good solutions. Here's the solution. If you need a service like this, ditch GitHub, go to GitLab. That's a good solution. Because there are a lot of people in this world, myself including, that want nothing to do with Microsoft. Microsoft, we don't want to do with you. I don't want you to be, I don't want to be a person that's folded into your portfolio. That's exactly why they bought LinkedIn. They bought LinkedIn to consolidate their data. By buying LinkedIn, they were able to grab, I think it's 433 million users. Remember that Microsoft shifted their business plan from a software company to a data service company. They're seeking to collect data. That's what they're trying to do. Now, how much data could be acquired from GitHub? Probably not a lot. There's things that they bought LinkedIn for a different reason than they bought GitHub. But the fact that they bought GitHub and they want to get their fingers all over it causes a lot of people to be concerned, because they have a 20, 30 plus year track record of ruining things. That's the concern that people are having. So when I see articles like this saying everyone complaining about Microsoft buying GitHub needs to offer better solution, GitHub needed a buyer and there aren't too many options, I am not going to argue that. But just because they needed a buyer and Microsoft stepped up doesn't mean that I recommend people stay with GitHub. Not at all. Not in the slightest. I think you should jump ship, because Microsoft is a poison that destroys everything it touches. Everything. And their models are becoming more anti-consumer as we come along. And that is a huge concern. That's why people are saying this. And when I get these articles, of course, Peter Bright's very pro-Microsoft as it is, reading through his articles. So, there's developer backlash, though notionally a for-profit company has become an essential, integral part of the open source community. GitHub offers free hosting. So of course this whole article goes through all of this. We're going to read all this. But he makes the case that yes, it needed bought. And we're not in any disagreements with this at all. Okay, if not Microsoft, then who? Google probably would have been the best to buy it. Honestly, because Google is not hostile to open source. Microsoft may not be right now, but they have a long track record of being hostile to open source. Okay, not too and to reality, they are a big for-profit company that only sees dollar signs. Every human, every person, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. We are just their cash cow that they are going to milk for what they can. That is what people's very, very legitimate concerns are. And so they talk about the three suitors, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. As I said, Google probably would have been the best because they're not as anti-open software and anti-consumer as Microsoft is. They are anti-consumer in many ways, but they're not, they release a lot of open source stuff. They're not hostile to open source, whereas Microsoft traditionally and classically has been, and that raises some questions. And so he makes this whole argument about best fit. He noticed what he never covered. He never went into better solutions. Here's a good solution. Get off GitHub, go to GitLab. That's the solution. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Alrighty. Just a second here. I need to reset a few little things. Alright, moving. Greetings. Frost Ranger of the Frozen Realm. Hello. How's it going there? Alright. BitBlocks. Hello. It's okay for me to wish they would move the menu over to the left. Watching this on Arch. Very cool. Very good. Wondering if everyone would move to GitLab, how the updates would work, especially on Arch. Yeah. I imagine it's not going to happen immediately. I also love seeing STL talk because he's pretty smart about what he talks about. Yeah, I'm not as knowledgeable about some of this stuff, but you know. I had to install a different file manager because Nautilus seems to be in control of the size of my desktop icons. Really annoying. Oh, Kitty comes up. Hello, everyone. How are you guys? All right. Tom, just host your own server. GitLab is free to host. Yeah, I don't really have a need to host. That's why I don't care to. I mean, unless I'd host it to monetize it somehow, but... $7.5. $7.5 billion. Billion dollars. $7.50. I bet $7.51. You are now the owner of Pizza Hub. We are the Borg. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt and service us. Resistance is futile. That's right. Isn't antitrust. Antitrust. See if somebody else answered it. If not, I'll come back to it. GitHub will be worthless when everyone jumps ship. But Microsoft will have a pretty good platform. Skype is broken on Windows Phone. Yeah, Skype is broken on Linux, too. It was working perfectly fine. They updated it and it broke. And it's been broken for at least 6 months now. And I'll say my LibreOffice files to RTF files. Microsoft can't screw that up. Yeah, but you lose a lot of formatting. And that's kind of the downside. If MS loves open source, they should make Windows open source. Yep, or kill it in shame. Greetings, Spin Viking. How are you? Kick him off the earth. I don't see anybody talk about that. So in antitrust, let's see, I got to remember my terms there. Antitrust is when you are doing things that specifically manipulate the market in your favor. So what was going on with Microsoft back in the late 90s, early 2000s is they were shipping with Internet Explorer. And they said that you have to take Internet Explorer out and give people the option of what browser you want. So what they did is they baked Internet Explorer into the core of the operating system. And that prompted an antitrust suit. Die in prison list. Mark Zuckerberg, Asia Pie. They should share a prison cell. That'd be funny. You got the robot and the moron. Got me thinking to go to Debian-based rather than Ubuntu-based. Forgotten that Microsoft invented... Oh, a lot of people claim that they invented the internet. Want to punish Microsoft for using GitHub? Don't use it. Yep. Have used MS product in years. Yep. No longer going to read Ars Technica. Oh, but it's so fun to poke fun at. The internet. If half the users left GitHub tomorrow, spending $7.5 billion would seem all that more ridiculous. Before IE was Netscape. I remember downloading Netscape on my Windows 95 computer. Man, that took 3 hours. It was a 15 megabyte file. Man. Q1 Fiend, greetings. JLM, hello. I think a distributed peer-to-peer solution is best. You should really host your own GitLab for personal use. Maybe I'll think about it. Gaming good on Debian, anyone? I can't tell you. Microsoft bought Hotmail. Try to get a Yahoo. I opened a GitLab account as soon as I found out Microsoft bought GitHub. And I'll be keeping the GitHub account for a while just to file bug reports. Self-hosting destroys the social network access aspect of GitHub. Yep. Mr. Kitty. Meow. Yep, I got a fuzzy snake up here. Non-exclusive open source community purchases a non-exclusive open source and make a ton of money. I do not see the issue. If you don't like it as a consumer, you can change providers. Yep. Now, if Ubuntu and its brothers and children work all right for gaming, but what about Debian? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a gamer. My apologies. I can't answer that. All right. Windows 10 still has IE. Well, Windows 10, no, it's no longer baked into the system. It can be removed now. The reason Windows 10 still has IE is because there's a ton of government applications that still need ActiveX, and IE is the only place that can use that. And so until all those government contracts are cleared out of ActiveX, they have to continue to supply IE. Group with Windows, Vista, and Safari. Ooh. Yeah, I remember Safari on Windows. In fact, I think my development computer used to have it for testing. All right, let's go ahead and jump on over to our next topic. Okay. Dang it, I don't know why changing my title keeps breaking my title. So now we're going to have a look at Linux Mint Mate. Let's go ahead and move that over there. Actually, we're going to keep it over here for now. I'm just going to do a load and edit later, I think. Let me launch VirtualBox, though. Push record, and we'll start going. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. It is another Wednesday live show. You can catch the live show 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesdays. So today we're going to have a look at Linux Mint 19 Terra, and we're going to look at the Mate version today. Of course, I did a top 5 improvements to Linux Mint Cinnamon on Monday, and yesterday I looked at Linux Mint Cinnamon as an overview. So today we're going to do a brief overview of Linux Mint Mate. And so let's go ahead and have a quick look. So from their blog post release, new features. I've not read this blog post yet, so let's just have a look. So we have a lot of different improvements. There's several basic improvements to the system. Obviously, we're based on Ubuntu 18.04. For those curious, it does not have the data collection that Ubuntu has. System resources are a little bit lower than if you want to use Linux Mint, but you have a lower spec computer. You might think about either the Mate or the XFCE branches. It requires about half as much RAM. And you can see the gigabytes, 15 gigabytes of disk space, and at least a 1024 resolution. They do still have the 32-bit ISO, which is good, and there will be some upgrade paths to go from it, and they will be published when the stable release of this is out. All right, so let's go ahead and boot this guy up, and then we're going to have a look at what it looks like. Okay, so I've installed this in a VirtualBox. I installed it. I didn't do anything else with it. I barely looked at it. So the VirtualBox has 4 cores, 6 gigs of RAM, 256 megabytes of video RAM running in it. And it should load full screen. Yes, it looks like it's going to load up full screen. We do have the same wallpaper background that we had in Linux Mint Cinnamon. And of course, we are welcomed with the welcome screen, which looks the same as it did over there. We can see that though we are in the Mate 64. They do have this set up very much like a Windows computer if you're used to that. We do have the Mate menu that is searchable, so if you do want a searchable menu, you have that. And of course, our system monitor shows that we are running on half the RAM as Cinnamon does right out of the box when you open it up. So once again, if you have a lower spec machine, you probably want to look at running the Mate rather than the Cinnamon. I personally prefer the Cinnamon. There is another either advantage or disadvantage for you depending on what it is. They do not have the online account option in Mate, since that is actually something attached to GNOME, which Cinnamon is based on. So if you do not want to be attaching any online accounts, Mate does not have that functionality. If you would like to attach and sync your online accounts for calendars, contacts, files, things like that, you probably want to use the Cinnamon because that has the online accounts. I'm pretty sure XFCE will not have that either. But regardless, let's go ahead and walk through this. So in your first steps here in your welcome screen, we'll walk you through the things you want to do. The first is they want you to launch Time Machine. So Time Machine is a system that gets you essentially the same thing as your Windows Restore. So Mint is really making some strides to bring a lot of the functionality that, that people are used to in Windows, like those restore points. Of course, some people will say, make sure that you want to research how to restore your system in the event it doesn't boot into the GUI. That's a possibility if something goes crazy. But if you have TimeShift installed, you can actually restore files. You will need to look up instructions for doing that. But you can go ahead and set this guy up. You can set it up to keep, monthly, weekly, daily snapshots, however you want to run it. And then basically what it's going to do is it's going to create a restore point for your system files. Now this does not get your regular backup files, it just gets your system files. But if you are needing something to back up your personal files, you can from the new backup tool, you can get your personal data, basically anything in your home directory, and it has software selection as well. One of the things though you want to do in here as you're loading up the backup tool is it does not by default take the hidden system files, which means that if you are wanting backups of configuration files for your installed software, you need to make sure that you enable that. I actually have a video about how to do that, so I'll go ahead and list that. I'll go ahead and put that in the cards here. But regardless, once your time shift is set up, the next thing it wants you to do is look at the driver manager. This is going to look to see if there's any proprietary drivers that you could install on your system in the event you want to. Some people may want to do that. Some people prefer not to do that. So that's one of those things that you need to keep in mind is, do you want to do that if you're having issues, for example, with a video card or sound, or oftentimes a Broadcom modem, you might have that issue. So you'll see in here anything that you could install if you wanted to. And then of course, next is the update manager. This has changed and it no longer asks you the type of updates that you want. And it's going to, by default, select all of the updates the first time it runs. And it is going to rely on your time shift to restore back if it happens to mess something up. So definitely keep in mind that there could be things that that you may not want to install. By default, now it's going to install everything. So be aware of that. Of course, the kernel, Linux kernels is still the same. I think this ships with 4.15. Yep, so 4.15 0-20 is the kernel that we have. And then, of course, we have our system settings and our software manager. This video is feeling a whole lot like my Cinnamon video, if you saw that. But anyway, that's okay. We can work with that. Of course, the control center in Mate is different than it is in Cinnamon. You will notice that they do not have the online accounts. We do have our differences of appearances. You can see what all the different options are here. Here is our backgrounds. So there's actually some pretty cool ones. This one was actually a user submitted background. It's pretty cool. Let me move this stuff out of the way if I can here. All right, kind of see what that background looks like. That's pretty cool. So there's a lot of cool backgrounds. There's some older backgrounds. You'd be used to a few of them. Of course, there's a few newer ones as well. I think this one's a newer one. All right. So of course, we're not going to go through all the settings. This is essentially the Mate settings. So if you're used to Mate, you can look that up. If you're not, I actually have other videos that go through all of that. The software manager, though, this is the Linux Mint software manager, and this is really nice. They've added some nice, just some nice transitions. So as you transition back and forth between things, that'll work. We have Flatpak right out of the box. So that will lead to some potential confusing things, and that you may have a Kdenlive, for example, from the repository and one from FlatHub. Take note of that if you're looking to install software. Just be aware, if you want to specifically go for the FlatHubs, you got it. If you want to specifically go for the repositories, you got that as well. And then, of course, they have their nice editor's pick, so you can install a lot of different software here out of the box. All right. So as far as everything installed, we've already had a look at the theming and the menu. This is the menu with the search functionality. That's something a lot of people do ask for, so they give you that out of the box. We have our various places. We have our system over here, so if you quickly want to get something into the control panel, you have it over there. Here's our package manager. Okay, so that's going to load up Synaptic. And then software manager. We have all of our various applications. Here's our preferences. Here's our administration. And then everything else is what we would expect. The Office suite should be the latest from LibreOffice, LibreOffice 6. Actually, I don't know if it's the absolute latest 6. Let's have a look at that. Spelling checker and the synonym checker should be there. So this is 6.0.3.2. It still is using GIMP 2.8. That's because that's the core of what is in Ubuntu 18.04. You can install 2.10 if you want. That's actually probably something I'm going to do because I want to do some more advanced stuff with GIMP. And I want to do it with the latest version, so we're going to be doing some of that. Everything else is what we'd expect. We have Firefox installed, Thunderbird as our email client, which is such a relief. Some of these systems are using some of the crappier, lighter webmail clients that have very little functionality. I'm not a fan of those, so it's good to have those. And everything else is pretty much what we would expect. So we've already looked at the system use. It uses about half the RAM as does Cinnamon. So if you are looking for something a little bit lighter, you can do that. Everything else is Mate. I mean, it's good, it's clean, it's simple, and there are actually a variety of different themes you can do. Let's just go ahead and have a look at some of the other themes we have here. Kitty wants a scratch. Hold on. All right, so here's our Mint X, and then of course we have our aquas, our blues. We have a variety of different colorations there. Some of the new ones, we have the Mint Y theme here. So this guy here is a little bit flatter of a theme, and of course we have the Mint Y Dark and the Mint Y Darker themes. Let's see what the dark looks like with the menu. There you go. If you want something dark, you can do that. Of course, you can customize things as well. Here's your window borders. See the variety of window borders that we have. As far as your icons, we have some of our old classic icons. And then, of course, we have this new icon pack, which isn't my favorite type of icon pack, but it works pretty well. I actually like them. And then we have 2 different pointer options there installed. All right. We've already looked at our backgrounds, our fonts. There's our interface. So that is just about it. So that is Linux Mint Mate 19, very much like the Cinnamon build. Of course, runs Mate, a little bit lighter than the Cinnamon. It doesn't have quite as many of the modern features and functionality that I like in my distro, so I still prefer Cinnamon. That's actually why I run it. I do actually run Linux Mint Mate on my backup computer. That's actually one of the ones that I run over there. So that's my take on that. So what do you think of Linux Mint 19 Terra? Leave your comments down below. All right, let's see. Let's use Fossil. Git is worthless unless you have a big project with tons of contributors. Remove IE, but make it installable. Well, Windows you can add and remove IE in Windows 10. It was either as of Vista or as of 7. You could uninstall it. I'm surprised that people needed Microsoft to switch from GitHub to GitLab, as GitHub was never free software. Yeah, a lot of people, Negan now, yes, a lot of people are moving to GitLab. There's a lot of people that just don't like Microsoft for very good reasons. And so, yeah, a lot of people are jumping off of GitHub and going to GitLab. They may not be losing all of the actual accounts, but a lot of people are scrubbing data off of it. If only I wasn't a gamer, I wouldn't think to install Windows on my PC. There you go, yeah. Greetings, Anna Rita. How are you? Hi, Anna Rita. How are you doing? All right. There's a big difference. Is there a big difference between Mint Mate and Ubuntu Mate? Not really. I think more than anything, it's theming, and there's a few more system tools in Cinnamon, or in in Mint. And I think Mint generally just works a little bit better most of the time than Ubuntu. But there's good reasons for either one, honestly. Someone make a video like Microsoft sucks, please. So C is bare bones but very stable. Just couldn't like Mate, never figured out what it was. Yeah, Mate to me it's kind of like the one you forget about. It's not super light, it's not super heavy, it's just super average. It's about super average. I don't know. It's just my thought. Uploaded 19 Mate, test laptop, so far looks interesting. Yep, he's Anarchy Cinnamon at the moment. Yeah, I'm running Debian Cinnamon right now on my other computer. It's actually running really nice. Excited for release of XFCE version of Linux Mint 19. Hello, Insane Ethers. How's it going there? XFCE might be better for Manjaro. I do not know how does better, but tend not to distro hop, as I tend to just stick with Linux Mint, XFCE, and Cinnamon. Can you set the size of the snapshot? In Windows, if you didn't size, it would be up to 1 gig. I think you can, but I can't remember. Like, I find an application like Timeshift a little overkill in Linux. As long as you have a good backup of your home folder, you can pretty much scrub your system and reinstall it anytime. That's my take. I'm pretty sure you can though. There's a lot of settings you can do in Timeshift. For Arch, because R have everything in it for Windows, like exe. Yeah. First started researching Linux, I looked at the differences of Cinnamon and Mate. I was mesmerized by all the non-Windows OSs. Nowadays, it's all normal to me. Yeah. P.S. I'm aware that Cinnamon and Mate are desktop environments. I was referring to different distros. Yeah. Budgie is king. It's only a matter of time until you switch. I like Budgie. It's just, I like Cinnamon better. Hello, Political Monkey. Greetings. So you're going to look at Linux Mint Debian Edition. Yes, Political Monkey. Unless it takes them a long time to release, I'm going to be looking at it as soon as they release it. They said they're releasing it right after they have their, right after they release the Ubuntu-based versions of Mint. Then they're going to be releasing a Debian Edition. So yes, I'm going to look at that because I really want to have a look at it. Cinnamon, KDE, and then all other desktop environments. Yeah, high five at Political Monkey. That's about how I agree. You know, love Cinnamon, love KDE. I like Budgie too. I put Budgie up there on the list, and then the other ones for me. Greetings, DistroTube. How's it going there? Really want to like KDE. Haven't in many years. Keep trying every so often. Keep disliking it. Daniel Kovark wants it. Alright, Daniel, I not tend to distro hop, but if I have to, just use a USB drive and read-write speeds and burn the ISO image. Yep, there you go. Use Ubuntu Mate and rather like it. I use Mate because I install Mint on a lot of older machines that I give away. Noobs can use Mate just fine. Yep, there you go. Yeah, Political Monkey. I'm not reading that one. Give account is now only for bug reports. Can say MS has changed, but that's just lip service. Actions are required to earn trust, and they haven't done anything to earn that trust yet. I agree. I agree. Microbone drives us away from them with a bad attitude. Yep. Greetings, Keegan. How's it going there? Microsoft is the open source king. You suppose MX17 or Antix would be a good way to learn Debian before the release? Yes, definitely. Definitely MX17 because they have a lot of scripts to do the things that you might get confused on. Antix, I've tested it a few times, but I'm not as knowledgeable about it. Antix requires more hands-on configuration, so it would force you to learn, but could frustrate you more. But either one would be good. Greetings, Big Daddy Linux. How's it going there? Sticking with Pantheon and KDE. All right. You're important, sir. If I have not said it before, thank you for your service. Hey, no problem, man. No problem. All right. I've hit the bottom of the comments. Is there anything else we want to address here? Let's go ahead and feed the beast, and then I'll hang out. I have some extra time. I can hang out for a while yet. Today. So if there's anything else I should be talking about, let's go ahead and address those. But in the meantime, you know what time it is, kitty kitty? You know what time it is, kitty kitty? It's time for feeding. It's time for a feeding. Kitty kitty. Let's see if we can get a double catter. This camera here. Oh yeah. That was a cutie one, huh? And this one there. Oh yeah. All right, here. Are they whisker licking good today? Yeah. All right. So I'll do a final call for comments, and we'll see if anyone else jumps in. Hello, Mel Gibson. GitHub had saboteurs already ruining code and stealing groups' ideas. First they bought SourceForge. They want free software. Gonna junk spyware in its place. Talk about why Windows sucks. The cat, not the cat. Wow, the kitty. Why does Windows suck? That's a good question. Well, as far as the functionality for Windows, I think that the functionality for Windows is fine. It does seem to work okay. The thing that caused me to get away from Windows is when they start forcing stuff on you that you don't want, and it's been a gradual change. Like, I mean, as a person who's always done software-y type stuff, I used to go to people's houses and they're like, oh, can you fix my computer, right? And so you go in, and if you know computers and you ever went to somebody's house who doesn't necessarily know computers as much, and they're like, it's running slow, and you go there and you go there so that you can clean stuff up, or if it's running slow, you need to find out why. You hit the start menu, and like the whole screen is taken up by the start menu. And like everything that's ever wanted to add itself to the computer, they're like, okay, click, click, click. And then they end up with like hundreds of thousands of stuff, and most of it's adware. So I've always been the opposite of that. I've always really edited my menus. I kept all my software nice and concise, quick, easy to find, quick launch bars for the things that were the most important, stuff like that. And what they started to do is getting rid of the ability to control stuff like that. And so starting, of course, with 8, they get rid of the start menu altogether, and then you can get into like this full menu there. But then with that full menu, it just kind of became this unholy mess of everything in a completely unorganized format. And they did the same thing with Windows 10. Windows 10 doesn't have a replaced start menu. It has an unholy, crappy app menu built right into the side of the thing. And I can't edit it. I can't configure it. It just becomes a giant nightmare to handle if you are using a lot of applications. Of course, you can always put things on your live tiles, but I want to be able to control my operating system. For me, that final straw that made me start looking into other things was it was two factors coming together. The first is when I upgraded my computer from 8.0 to 8.1, they forced you to have, it was called SkyDrive at the time. It wasn't OneDrive yet. They forced that onto your system, and you could not uninstall it. Oh boy, did that piss me off. And so I'm like, no, I'm not liking this. And then shortly thereafter, Windows 10 comes out with all the privacy issues and privacy concerns. All this data collection, I won't do it. Will not do it. And so I just jumped ship from there. Of course, I still use Windows 7. All of the stuff that would have put on the backported telemetry is gone. I did not allow any of that to be installed. So I made sure that to monitor every update since Windows 10 to make sure I did not have backported telemetry. And so I still do some development on a Windows 7 computer, and will do so until it dies. And then once that dies, Linux Mint Cinnamon is already prepped and ready and in the system and set to go. So we're fine. We're fine at this point in time to go back and forth. And what I did is I spent then the last couple of years getting really comfortable with Linux without completely ditching Windows, because if you completely throw away Windows, jump right over to Linux instantly, and then you get stuck on something, then you'll find yourself back in Windows. So what you do is you have dual systems. So I run dual systems. I travel a fair amount. I'll go to friends' houses and work a fair amount. I leave the Windows computer home and I take the Linux computer with me. And so I've gotten used to doing every single thing I need to do on the Windows computer now gets done on the Linux computer. And that's how I've transitioned. I've taken the time to learn new software, because somebody who's used Photoshop for a good decade, moving to GIMP was harder to do. Now that I'm comfortable with GIMP, I can use GIMP better than Photoshop. The same exact functionality and ways. So that's kind of the thing and what caused that shift. But for me, the biggest reason that Windows sucks is Windows 10 privacy. And yeah, they're like, ooh, we put on a thing, you can delete the data. You know, all that thing was that they put in there? You can delete the data after it's been sent to them. It basically deletes the logs. Because they've realized, oh crap, we've logged all this stuff. We got to come up with a good way and market it that we're actually pro-consumer. And so that's exactly what they did, is they just to move things around. And as they moved things around, it got to the point where they were they're just anti-consumer. That's just the direction they're going. My train of thought has derailed. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You ever gonna get on Mastodon or LibrePay? Yes. LibrePay is on my list. Yes, in fact, if I get the time in the next week or so, I will be setting up LibrePay. Yes. Mastodon, I have not given it a thought. I would almost like some social type site that I would trust a little bit more for regular updates, you know, in case I have to cancel a show last minute or something. So I haven't thought about Mastodon, but LibrePay absolutely is on my list of things. I have this pile of things like this long that I need to get done. Unfortunately, I'm a one-man show with 2 channels and regular web design work. So I get to it as I get to it. But yes, LibrePay is on the list. Is Google's OS based on Linux? Yes, it is. It is like Android itself is a modified Linux. It basically uses a modified Linux kernel, and there's a lot of other stuff on top of it. Chrome OS is actually based on Gen 2. Right. Didn't find out Army kernel I used to serve with, and Reese Witherspoon's dad. Cool. Alright, let's see. GitHub had saboteurs. I think I already had that. Let's see. GitHub will soon be a paid service. Cat on screen, minus 50 intelligence. Yep. Okay, Rocco is in the house. Yes, Rocco is in the house. That is Big Daddy Linux. Brian, how's it going there? Cat lives matter. Snacking cat, destroyer of the worlds. Use Linux, but I'm here for the cat. There you go. All OS steal data. Possibly, but to what degree would be the question. I think it'd be worse if Facebook had bought GitHub. Probably. Let's see. I already answered that. Is there an app on Windows called... there is an app on Windows called Unchecky for those people who just click everything. That's kind of cool. Something for you, STL. I see you use Debian. I've been looking on... installing it on my laptop. Can you tell us why you prefer Debian? Okay, Paperbag Man. First, my most preferred distro is Linux Mint Cinnamon. And I generally use the standard Ubuntu version just because that's the one I've used. Debian is certainly one of my favorite distros. It's not always the most recommended one. But the reason I like Debian, it is stable. It gets security updates quickly, but doesn't push the latest Edge software things. And for me, that's ideal. Some people really like Arch because it always keeps you on the edge of software. But for me, oftentimes updating software means you're not just fixing security, you're adding new features and stuff. And once I know how to use your software and I'm not finding it lacking, I don't want you to change it. And that's why I like Debian. It gives me the stability, it gives me a long-term support, and it gives me all the security that I need, and it also gives me the ability to run about any desktop, and those desktops I can't run necessarily by default. I don't imagine I'd have a hard time setting up. So that's kind of my take on that. I just really like Debian because of its, and not only that, but it's one of the first Linux distros, and it's one of the purest Linux distros. So those are the reasons I like Debian. 10 years ago, Microsoft did not turn on your webcam and rip your hard drive. Yes, that is true. Hated SkyDrive with a passion. I switched because of the updates and finding downloading apps, plus the fact you need to have a product key. Yeah, and how about this? You know, on my Windows 10 computer that I had experimented with, I do uninstall Candy Crush like 10 times. Like Microsoft, I don't want the stupid game. Okay, I'm not your brainless little lemur going wherever you want. No, or is that lemming? I guess I'm not a brainless little lemming going wherever you want. Hey, look, 100 people are walking down a cliff. Let's go walk down that cliff with them. That's not me. Hate using online storage in general. I will only do so if I encrypt whatever it is I'm not storing. Windows 10 just plain ugly compared to Windows 7. Yes, it is also ugly. The aesthetics does not cause me to stop using an operating system, but the fact that I can change my aesthetics, I absolutely love. Like my Linux Mint KDE computer that is on my media system, that thing is so gorgeous aesthetically. I love it. I love the fact you can still do that. That was one of the things that, although it's fairly minor, it excited me the most moving back to Linux is that, I can customize the thing again. And if you know CSS, you can customize it even more. You just jinxed it, Tom. Now that Windows computer is going to last you 100 years. That's okay if it does. I don't mind. Hey, if it lasts me long enough where I can make the majority of my income on content creation and less and less on web design, I'll be a happy guy. Hello, Chase Thomas. How's it going? Windows equals Disney 2. Jumped right from Windows to Linux because I figured out if I had to learn a new OS, I'd rather learn Mint than Windows 10. There you go. Yeah. 2 channels. What happened to Cooking Hat? Yeah, well, it's still there. I probably should have said 3 channels, but I have not uploaded a video over there for 6 weeks. I am so busy. I really, really, really want to upload at least 2 videos a month on that channel, but I am just not finding the time. I gotta go back and start making more time again. What IDE do you prefer for programming? I don't do programming. I do mostly front-end development. I use Bluefish for that on Linux. I still use Dreamweaver on Windows because I have it, but Bluefish does everything I need Dreamweaver to do. Tom just built a cheap computer that can run Steam, then offer to build it for subscribers with Mint installed. Huh. That'd be fun. I have an idea, make a switch to Linux version of Linux. That would be fun. Been dual booting for a year and I'm somewhat of a distro hopper. As time goes on, I find myself more on Linux than Windows, especially like Kubuntu and Arco Linux. Yes. Windows 7 didn't spy. Yeah, it does now, unfortunately. Arch is by far the most customizable Linux distro. Yes. Anything with KDE, certainly. I like the idea of a switch to Linux free software-based computer. I'll have to think about that. I always loved the way Windows 10 looked. It's beautiful to me, like Windows 8. But with you know the desktop. Yep. All right. The biggest thing about Linux is the customization. Everyone can make it look how they want it to. Windows is anything but sexy. Windows is a tumor on the software world. Probably. It was like that crazy ex-girlfriend that stabs you with a kitchen knife and begs you not to leave. Don't leave me! Don't leave me! Windows is like your ex-wife who seems not to go away forever. Yes. Keeps on going back and buying the latest stuff, i.e. software downloads, without your permission. There's a way to revert Windows 10 to a core PowerShell mode, but it fights you along the way. Yeah. Agree, Microsoft is evil and Windows is their abomination, but I still thought it looked good. Yeah, I don't care for the flat UIs. I thought the Windows 7 was probably the most beautiful of the Windows. It's kind of my take on it. What do you think, Kitty? The kitty's like, I just want puppy Linux and maybe a few more of those whisker licking goods, right? Yeah? Yeah, you want to come back up? Want to come back up? No more kitty treats, but you can come back up. Come on. Come say hi to the peoples. Yeah. Aww. Hello, everyone. All right. Ow. Ow. Kitty, don't step there. Kitty's being mean. Oh, boy. Super Anti spyware marks Windows 10 as a pup. Pup, potentially unwanted program. Yes. Remember you loved KDE Linux Mint for your media PC. Have you tried Kubuntu? I have not. No. I think one of the things I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and see if I can get KDE installed on Linux Mint 19. I think that sounds fun. Linux is like the Energizer Bunny. Google at least doesn't own the most dominant OS. Yes. Can't beat Windows Vista, though. Windows Vista was fine once you got enough RAM and had all of the updates in place. Windows Vista's main problem is oftentimes it shipped with less RAM than was required by the system. Is there a way to upgrade to Mint 19 from 18? Yes. You can, but it's not going to be out until the official release is out. What we looked at was the beta. I probably should have mentioned that. What we looked at was the beta, and the beta release we do not have the upgrade path yet. I don't think you'll get that right when right when it's released. Flat UI lets Microsoft spend less on wages for artistic design costs. Yep. Cat got your gut? Yes. Okay, Scott, do you have your home folder on a separate partition? We can get similar hatred aimed at Canonical. Yeah, probably. Well, I'd say just back up your files, do a clean install. You should be able to upgrade without doing so. I've actually found the updates to Mint, very, very easy and good. Mac Mojave, the new dark mode. What a laugh. Yeah, Linux has had that for years. The one thing, though, that they have in Mojave that I'm not sure Linux has, or maybe it does, they have the ability to change over the colorations over the course of the day. Although I thought I saw that feature in Budgie where you could set timers to do stuff, but I don't know. Found some things that still don't work in 19 beta. Oh, what were they? It's good to know. Right. Well, I think we're gonna kind of call her quits here. I'm gonna go make some dinner and start pushing out these videos here. So, well, I think we're gonna head on out. So once again, you can help support the site at switchtolinux.com/support. You can learn about all the current ways to help support us. I have some t-shirts, coffee cups, and things available at shop.switchtolinux.com. When I get my new site up, I'm going to be pushing out some new designs. I'm also on Patreon, patreon.com/TomM. Redshift. Oh, really? Is that what Redshift does? I did not know that. I'm going to look at Redshift right now. Never looked at Redshift. Yeah. Okay, I see. Info. Okay, so yeah, it's changing the color temp of everything. All right. Disable that. That's why I didn't know what Redshift was. I actually don't like it when things mess with my software like that. drives me crazy. See you later, Scott. See ya. I'm putting my wife to Linux now. Very good, very good. Not sure if you tried it, but try Naked Browser for Android. Awesome. Don't close the welcome screen. Can't get it back. Yeah, you can. Daniel, don't run all of the updates. Particularly if you install the guest editions from the driver menu, it will uninstall the welcome screen and Mint updates. At least in beta. File manager doesn't show all drives. Okay. All right, guys, we will catch you later. Have yourselves a good afternoon, and see you tomorrow. Live stream. I have no idea what the topic's going to be, but have yourselves a good one.